My mom's 1983 high school yearbook has 41 faces with red X's marked through them. All seniors. All marked dead. The official story? They drowned during a senior week boating accident off the coast of Maine. But here's the thing, my mom died 2 months ago. Cancer. And while I was cleaning out her house, I found this yearbook hidden inside a locked filing cabinet. Not in a box of keepsakes. Not on a shelf. Locked away. Like evidence. I also found her diary from 1983. The last entry is dated May 23, 1983. The day after those 41 students supposedly drowned. They didn't drown. We watched what happened to them on that island. Principal Hendricks made all of us promise to never tell. He said if we talked, we'd end up like them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. God forgive me for staying silent. My mom was part of the senior class of 1983. Timber Ridge High School, Camden, Maine. She was supposed to go on that senior week trip. She didn't. And according to her diary, that decision saved her life. I started digging. Newspaper archives. School records. Obituaries. And what I found, it's so much worse than a boating accident. Because senior week wasn't just a tradition. It was a selection process. And it's been happening for almost 90 years. The question isn't what killed those 41 students in 1983. The question is, how many others died before them? And who's still making it happen? Timber Ridge High School opened in 1935. Private preparatory school in Camden, Maine. Right on the coast, surrounded by forest. The kind of place where rich families send their kids to get into Ivy League colleges. My mom grew up lower middle class. Her dad was a fisherman. She got in on a scholarship. Full ride. Perfect grades. She was so proud. According to her diary, senior week was this huge deal. Every year, the graduating class would take a 5-day trip to Casco Island. Private island owned by the school. No supervision. No adults. Just seniors doing whatever they wanted before graduation. It was presented as this reward. Like, you survived 4 years of rigorous academics, here's your freedom. The school called it leadership development through autonomy. But there were rules. First rule, only seniors could go. No exceptions. Second rule, what happens on senior week stays on senior week. Third rule, you don't talk about the island after you graduate. My mom wrote that those rules were repeated constantly. By teachers. By the principal. By alumni who came back to give speeches. They made it sound like an oath. In May 1983, 73 seniors were selected to go. Selected. Not signed up. The school chose who got to attend based on merit and character. My mom was on the list. Number 62. She was excited. Terrified, but excited. Then, 2 days before the trip, something happened. She was walking past Principal Hendricks' office after school. The door was cracked open. She heard him on the phone with someone. Yes, we have the full count. 73. The preparations are complete. The families have been notified and signed the waivers. No issues this year. The selection was clean. My mom didn't think much of it at the time. Just boring administrative stuff, right? But then she heard him say something else. We'll need to keep it under 40 this time. Last cycle in 79 raised too many questions. Keep what under 40? My mom started paying attention. Really listening. And that's when Principal Hendricks said the thing that made her drop out of senior week. The thing that saved her life. The tide schedule is perfect. High tide at 2 a.m. on night 3. By morning, it'll look exactly like an accident. My mom faked being sick. Called the school. Said she had the flu. Couldn't go on senior week. She stayed home. May 20th, 1983. 73 seniors left for Casco Island on 3 boats. The weather was perfect. Clear skies. Calm water. May 24, 1983. 32 students came back. 41 didn't. Drowned. That's what the news said. Tragic boating accident claims 41 lives. Storm came out of nowhere. Students were swimming at night. Boats capsized. Bodies recovered over 3 days. My mom watched it all on TV. The Coast Guard dragging boats out of the water. Divers searching. Parents screaming on the beach. Reporters everywhere. She wrote in her diary that she felt sick. Not flu sick. Guilty sick. Like she should have been there. Like she abandoned them. But then the survivors came back to school. 32 kids who went on that trip and lived. And my mom said they were wrong. Like, fundamentally changed. They didn't cry. Didn't talk about what happened. When people asked them about the accident, they'd just stare and say, "It was an accident. We were swimming. A storm came. They drowned." Word for word. Every single survivor. Same exact phrasing. My mom tried to talk to her best friend, Ashley Brennan. Ashley was one of the survivors. They'd been friends since freshman year. Inseparable. My mom asked her what really happened on the island. Ashley looked at her with these completely dead eyes and said, "Don't ask questions. Be grateful you weren't there. And never, ever go near Casco Island." 2 weeks later, Ashley's family moved to Florida. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. Over the next 6 months, 11 other survivor families moved away from Maine. Different states. Different lives. Like they were running from something. The remaining 21 survivors? They never spoke about senior week again. Not to each other. Not to therapists. Not to anyone. My mom wrote that she tried to attend the memorial service for the 41 students who drowned. The school held it in the gymnasium. Parents sobbing. Empty chairs with photos on them. Principal Hendricks giving a speech about tragedy and resilience. But here's what freaked my mom out. During the service, she looked at the survivors sitting in the front row. All 32 of them. And every single one was smiling. Not big smiles. Just these tiny, wrong smiles. Like they knew something no one else did. After the service, my mom overheard 2 parents talking. The Davidsons. Their daughter Emily was one of the drowned students. Mrs. Davidson was crying, saying something didn't make sense. The Coast Guard told her Emily's body showed signs of drowning, but there were also these marks on her arms and legs. Deep scratches. Like she'd been dragged through rocks. Mr. Davidson told her to stop. Said the Coast Guard explained it already. The rocks on the shore. The currents. It made sense. But Mrs. Davidson kept saying, Emily was a competitive swimmer. She swam in the ocean every summer. She wouldn't just drown. She wouldn't. My mom never saw the Davidsons again after that. They moved before graduation. The school never mentioned where they went. I couldn't let this go. My mom spent 43 years keeping this secret, and it killed her. Not the cancer. The guilt. The silence. So I started digging. Really digging. First thing I did was search for other boating accidents at Timber Ridge. If this was a pattern like my mom's diary suggested, there had to be more. And there were. So many more. 1979, for years before my mom's class. 27 students drowned during senior week. Same island. Same explanation. Freak storm at night. 31 students. Same story. 38 students. 42 students. I kept going back. Every 4 years like clockwork. A senior week trip to Casco Island. A tragic accident. Students drowning. The numbers varied between 25 and 43 deaths each time. From 1935 to 1983, there were 12 incidents. 12 mass drownings. Over 400 students dead. 400 teenagers. All from the same school. All dying the exact same way. And nobody connected the dots? Nobody investigated the pattern? I found articles from the Portland Press-Herald. Local coverage of each incident. And every single article used almost identical language. Tragic accident. Freak weather. Community in mourning. School will review safety protocols. But here's the thing. I cross-referenced the dates. There was no freak weather. No storms. Every single senior week happened during perfect conditions. Clear skies. Calm seas. The weather reports proved it. So I started looking at the survivors. The kids who went to the island and came back alive. In 1979, 46 survivors. In 1975, 42 survivors. In 1971, 35 survivors. Every incident had survivors. Witnesses. Kids who should have been able to tell people what really happened. I found 3 of them. 3 survivors still living in Maine. It took me 2 weeks of searching through social media, public records, old addresses. The first one, Marcus Chin from the class of 1975, hung up on me the second I mentioned Casco Island. The second one, Patricia Wolf from 1971, told me she had no memory of senior week. Said she'd blocked it out completely. When I pushed, she started crying and said, "We made a promise. We can't break it. They're still watching." The third one agreed to meet me. His name is David Arnett. Class of 1979. He's 63 now. Lives alone in a small house outside Augusta. When I showed up, he was waiting on his porch. Smoking. Shaking. He looked at me and said, "You're Mary's daughter, aren't you? I can see it in your face." He knew my mom. They'd never met, but he knew her. Because she was supposed to be on the 1983 trip. The one that would have killed her. David invited me inside. His house was normal except for one thing. Every window had thick curtains. Every door had 3 deadbolts. And in his living room, there was a map of Maine on the wall with Casco Island marked with a giant black X. He told me to sit down. Poured himself whiskey even though it was noon. And then he said something that made my blood run cold. What happened on that island wasn't an accident. It never was. Timber Ridge has been feeding students to that place for almost 90 years. And if you're digging into this, you need to understand something. They know you're looking. And they don't like it when people ask questions. I asked him who they were. He just pointed at the map. Not who. What? What's on that island? What's been there since before the school even existed? We didn't drown. We watched 46 of our classmates get taken into those caves. Dragged down by something that shouldn't exist. And the ones who survived. We made a deal to stay silent. Because that thing promised if we ever talked, it would come for us next. David told me everything. 44 years of silence, and he just broke. Casco Island isn't that big. Maybe 3 miles across. Rocky coastline. Dense forest. One beach on the north side where the boats dock. And on the south side, hidden by rocks and only accessible at low tide, there are caves. The school never mentioned the caves. Never warned students about them. Never put them on any map or safety briefing. But they were there. Always had been. When David's class arrived for senior week in May 1979, there were 73 students. First 2 days were normal. Bonfires. Swimming. Typical teenage stuff. The seniors were told they had complete freedom. No rules. No supervision. But on night 3, something changed. Around midnight, everyone heard it. This sound coming from the south side of the island. David said it was like singing. Not human singing. More like whale song mixed with wind through trees. Beautiful and terrible at the same time. Some kids wanted to investigate. Others wanted to stay at camp. But here's the messed up part. They all felt compelled to go. Like the sound was pulling them. Calling them. All 73 students walked through the forest to the south shore. The tide was out. The caves were exposed. And standing at the entrance was someone they recognized. Principal Hendricks. He shouldn't have been there. No adults were supposed to be on the island. That was the whole point of senior week. But there he was with 2 other men David didn't recognize. All wearing these dark robes. Standing in front of the cave entrance. Hendricks smiled at them. David said it was the wrongest smile he'd ever seen. And then Hendricks said, "Congratulations. You've been selected for the highest honor Timber Ridge can bestow. Tonight, you join a tradition that stretches back nearly 90 years. Tonight, you become part of something greater than yourselves." The students were confused. Scared. Some tried to leave. But they couldn't. David said it felt like invisible walls around them. Trapping them on that beach. Hendricks continued talking. He said the caves were special. That something ancient lived down there. Something that had made a deal with the school's founders in 1935. Protection. Prosperity. Success for the institution. In exchange for a tribute. A feeding. Every 4 years, the entity in the caves needed to feed. And Timber Ridge provided the meal. 73 students. Carefully selected based on criteria that had nothing to do with merit or character. They were chosen because they fit a profile. No powerful families. No one who'd be missed too much. Scholarship kids. Outsiders. Orphans. The perfect victims. Hendricks told them 41 would go into the caves. The rest would survive to spread the story of a tragic accident. The survivors would be bound by an oath. Silence in exchange for their lives and success. Break the oath, and the entity would come for them. Then Hendricks pulled out a list. Started reading names. 41 names. Kids who started crying, screaming, running. But there was nowhere to go. The invisible barrier held them in place. David's name wasn't called. He was one of the survivors. He watched as those 41 students were herded toward the cave entrance. Some fought. Some begged. One girl, Rebecca Martinez, tried to run into the ocean. She made it maybe 10 feet before something grabbed her from below the water and dragged her back onto shore. That's when David saw it. The thing that came out of the cave. He said he can't fully describe it because his brain won't let him remember the details. Like his mind censored it to protect him. But he remembers the general shape. Massive. Multiple limbs. Eyes that glowed in the dark. And the smell. Like sulfur and rotting fish and something sweet all mixed together. The 41 students were taken into the caves. Dragged down into the darkness. Their screams echoed for maybe 2 minutes. Then silence. The entity went back inside. The barrier dropped. The surviving 32 students collapsed on the beach. Hendricks and the 2 men walked over, pulled out NDAs, and made every single survivor sign. They were told exactly what to say. The story of the storm. The drowning. The accident. They were also told that if they ever spoke the truth, the entity would know. It would come to their homes. It would take them in the night. And it would make sure they suffered before they died. David signed the NDA. They all did. What choice did they have? The next morning, the survivors were taken back to the mainland on the boats. The 41 bodies were already in the water. Placed there by Hendricks and his people. Made to look like drowning victims. The Coast Guard bought the story. The media bought it. The parents bought it. Everyone bought it except the survivors, who knew the truth and couldn't say a word. I asked David why he was telling me now. Why break 44 years of silence? He looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "Because I'm dying. Stage 4 lung cancer. 6 months max. And that thing can't touch me anymore. Death is my escape. But you're still alive. And you need to know what you're up against. Because Timber Ridge still exists. The school is still running. And David found something that suggests senior week never really stopped." David gave me documents. Folders full of research he'd been compiling for years. Tax records. Corporate filings. Internal memos he'd somehow obtained. Timber Ridge High School isn't independently operated anymore. In 1988, it was acquired by something called the Holloway Foundation, a private organization that runs multiple prep schools along the East Coast. The foundation was established in 1935, the exact same year Timber Ridge opened. And the founder? A man named Augustus Holloway. Shipping magnate from Boston. Insanely wealthy. Obsessed with the occult. According to David's research, Augustus Holloway purchased Casco Island in 1933. 2 years before the school opened. He spent those 2 years exploring the caves. Mapping them. Going deeper than anyone had gone before. And he found something down there. Something old. Something hungry. Holloway made a deal. The entity in the caves would ensure prosperity for anyone connected to his foundation. Business success. Political power. Wealth beyond measure. All his schools would produce exceptional graduates who'd go on to lead corporations, governments, institutions. But the entity required payment. A tribute every 4 years. Young lives. Specifically, 73 young people between the ages of 17 and 18. The entity was very specific about the numbers. 73 arriving. 41 taken. 32 surviving. Those numbers meant something. David didn't know what, but they were ritualistic. Unchangeable. Timber Ridge was the first school designed specifically for this purpose. Augustus Holloway built it on the Maine coast because of its proximity to Casco Island. He designed the senior week tradition from day one. Made it prestigious. Made students want to go. The first sacrifice happened in May 1939. 41 students taken. 32 survivors who spread the story of a tragic accident. The foundation became wildly successful almost immediately. By 1960, Augustus Holloway had opened 3 more prep schools. By 1980, there were 8 schools under the foundation's control. All along the East Coast. All with their own rituals. Their own feeding grounds. But Timber Ridge remained special. It was the original. The most important. The entity in Casco Island's caves was apparently the strongest or oldest or most powerful. David didn't know the specifics. Just that Timber Ridge fed it every 4 years like clockwork. 1939, 1943, 1947, 1951, 1955, 1959, 1963, 1967, 1971, 1975, 1979, 1983. 12 cycles. 492 students dead. After 1983, something changed. The accident stopped. No more senior week drownings. David thought maybe the entity had been satisfied. Maybe the deal was complete. But then he found something in 2019 that made him realize the tradition never ended. It just went underground. The Holloway Foundation started a new program in 1987 called the Excellence Initiative. A summer leadership program for graduating seniors from all foundation schools. 73 students selected each year. 5 days on a private retreat. Location undisclosed. And here's the thing. Every 4 years, about 40 students from that program go missing. Not all at once. Spread out over the following months. Different locations. Different circumstances. car accidents, disappearances, suicides, hiking accidents. But they all attended the same Excellence Initiative retreat. And they all vanished within a year of attending. David had tracked 7 cycles of the Excellence Initiative. 1987, 1991, 1995, 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. 10 cycles. Over 300 students missing or dead. The most recent cycle was 2023. 73 students attended the Excellence Initiative that summer. By the end of 2024, 41 of them were dead or missing. The other 32 are still alive. Still successful. Still silent. I asked David how he knew all this. How he got access to these records. He said after his cancer diagnosis, he stopped being careful. Started hacking into foundation databases. Bribing employees. Paying private investigators. He'd spent his entire adult life successful and wealthy because of the oath he signed in 1979. And he realized that success was paid for with the blood of his classmates. The guilt ate him alive. So he decided to document everything. Build a case. And find someone willing to expose it. That someone is me. But here's where it gets personal. Really personal. David showed me the list of students selected for the 2023 Excellence Initiative. 73 names. Number 42 on that list? Emma Catherine Chen. My 17-year-old daughter. She was selected last summer. She attended the retreat. She came back fine. Happy. Said it was an amazing experience. I checked the other names on the list. 41 are already dead. My daughter is one of the 32 survivors. And according to David's research, every single survivor is bound by the same oath he signed in 1979. The same oath my mom's classmates signed in 1983. An oath that makes them complicit. An oath that ensures their silence. I asked my daughter about the retreat. About what happened during those 5 days. She smiled that same wrong smile David described. That same smile my mom saw on the survivors in 1983. And she said, "It was wonderful, Mom. I learned so much. I made amazing connections. I'm going to be so successful." Then she looked at me with eyes that weren't quite right and said, "You should stop asking questions about the foundation, though. It's not safe. For you or for me." My daughter is 17 years old. And something on that island got to her. Changed her. Bound her to the same entity that's been feeding on teenagers for almost 90 years. I did something stupid. Something David told me not to do. I went to Casco Island. I had to see it for myself. Had to see the caves. Had to understand what my mom's classmates faced. What my daughter experienced. I rented a boat. Told people I was going fishing. Left at dawn when the tides were right. It took me 2 hours to reach the island. Navigation was tricky. The whole place is surrounded by rocks. I landed on the North Beach. The same beach where students used to arrive for senior week. It was empty. Quiet. Just wind and waves and seabirds. The island felt wrong immediately. Like the air was heavier. Like something was watching from the trees. I walked inland. Found the old campsite where students used to stay. Rusted fire pits. Rotted wood from old shelters. Trash from decades ago slowly being consumed by nature. Then I walked south. Through dense forest. Following the coastline. It took me 40 minutes to reach the south shore. And there they were. The caves. Just like David described. Hidden by rocks. Only visible at low tide. Multiple entrances, but one main opening. About 6 feet wide. Descending into darkness. I brought a flashlight. Rope? A knife. I'm not an idiot. But I was terrified. Every part of me screaming to turn around. To leave. To forget this. But I couldn't. My daughter was bound to whatever lived in these caves. And I needed to know what it was. I went inside. The cave descended steeply. Slippery rocks. Cold water dripping. The smell hit me immediately. Sulfur and decay and something else I couldn't identify. The deeper I went, the stronger it got. After maybe 200 feet, the passage opened into a larger chamber. My flashlight couldn't reach the ceiling. The space was massive. And covering the walls were carvings. Symbols. Not English. Not any language I recognized. They looked old. Really old. And bones. So many bones. Human bones. Scattered across the floor. Some were ancient, yellowed and brittle. Others were newer. I found a sneaker. Nike. Couldn't have been more than a few years old. The shoe still had a foot inside. I should have left right then. But I kept going. Following the passage deeper. The carvings got more elaborate. More disturbing. Images of something with multiple limbs. Multiple mouths. Something that shouldn't exist. Then I heard it. The singing David described. That beautiful, terrible sound. Coming from deeper in the caves. Calling to me. Pulling me forward. I walked toward it. Couldn't help myself. It was like my body wasn't my own anymore. The passage narrowed. Got darker. The singing got louder. And then I saw it. The main chamber. The feeding chamber. It was enormous. Maybe the size of a cathedral. The walls were covered in bioluminescent algae or fungi, creating this sickly blue-green light. In the center of the chamber was a pool. Black water. Perfectly still. And rising from that pool was something I can barely describe. Something massive. Something ancient. It had the rough shape of a human but wrong. Too tall. Too thin. Limbs that bent in impossible directions. A head that was mostly mouth. Rows and rows of teeth. And eyes. Dozens of eyes covering its torso. All of them looking at me. The singing was coming from it. From its mouth. A sound that made my teeth hurt and my eyes water and my brain scream. I tried to run. Tried to turn around. But I couldn't move. Frozen. Staring at this thing. Then it spoke. Not out loud. Inside my head. A voice that felt like insects crawling through my skull. You are not meant to be here. You are not one of the offered. You are not one of the bound. I managed to force words out. Barely. Asked it what it wanted. Why it killed those students. It laughed. A sound like grinding bones. I do not kill. I transform. I elevate. Those who are offered become part of something greater. They feed me, and in return, their companions are blessed with success beyond measure. This has been our arrangement for nearly a century. Why do you question what works? I asked about my daughter. About Emma. About what it did to her. Your daughter chose wisely. She witnessed the offering. She took the oath. She is bound to me now. As long as she remains silent, she will achieve everything she desires. Wealth. Power. Success. All given freely. But if she speaks, if she breaks the oath, I will come for her. And I will make her suffer before I consume her. I asked how many it had killed. How many students over the years. It moved closer. The water in the pool rippling. Its eyes all focused on me. Killed? No. Transformed. 492 between 1939 and 1983. 287 since 1987. 779 young lives transformed into fuel for greatness. And we are not finished. The arrangement continues. Every 4 years, a new offering. A new transformation. This is the price of excellence. Then it said something that made my blood freeze. You, however, are a problem. You seek to expose what should remain hidden. You threaten the arrangement. And threats must be eliminated. The thing reached toward me. One impossibly long arm extending across the chamber. I finally broke free of whatever was holding me in place and ran. I sprinted back through the passages. Climbed over rocks. Scraped my hands and knees. Behind me, I could hear it moving. Dragging itself through the tunnels. Getting closer. I made it to the entrance. Burst out onto the beach. The tide had come in. The cave was starting to fill with water. I looked back and saw it in the entrance. Too big to fit through the opening. Watching me with all those eyes. It spoke one more time in my head. Tell no one. Forget what you have seen. Or you will join the transformed. And your daughter will watch. I got back to my boat. Hands shaking so bad I could barely start the motor. I didn't look back. Just drove straight to the mainland. That was 3 days ago. I haven't slept since. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. Hear it. Feel it in my head. But I'm not staying silent. I'm telling you all of this. I'm exposing the Holloway Foundation. I'm breaking the arrangement. Because 779 kids have died. And my daughter is bound to the thing that killed them. And I'm not letting this continue. After I got back from the island, I spent 3 days compiling everything. Every document David gave me. Every record I could find. Every name of every missing student. I created a database. 779 names. Birth dates. Last known locations. Circumstances of death or disappearance. Connection to Holloway Foundation schools. Dates of excellence initiative attendance. The pattern is undeniable. Every 4 years, like clockwork, 41 students connected to the foundation die or vanish. The other 32 go on to become wildly successful. CEOs. Politicians. Judges. Doctors. Lawyers. All of them bound to the entity in those caves. I reached out to journalists. Tried to get someone to investigate. Sent my documents to the Boston Globe, the New York Times, ProPublica. Nobody would touch it. Too outlandish. Too conspiracy theory. Not enough hard evidence. One reporter called me back. Said he looked into it. Said the Holloway Foundation has lawyers. Big lawyers. The kind that sue newspapers into bankruptcy. He told me to be careful. Said people who go after powerful organizations tend to have accidents. That's when I realized I was in real danger. Not just from the entity. From the foundation itself. From all the successful survivors who've built their lives on the blood of their classmates. I installed security cameras around my house. Changed all my locks. Stopped sleeping. Just sitting here at my desk. Watching. Waiting. My daughter came home yesterday. Walked into my office. Saw all the documents spread out. The names. The evidence. Her face went cold. She said, "Mom, what are you doing?" I told her the truth. Told her I knew about the caves. About the entity. About the oath she took. I begged her to help me expose it. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said something that broke my heart. "You don't understand. The oath isn't just words. It's binding. Literally. I can feel it inside me. Like chains wrapped around my chest. If I break it, if I tell anyone what happened, those chains tighten. They'll crush me from the inside. I've seen it happen to others who tried to talk. They died screaming. I'm sorry, Mom. But I'm not dying for this. Neither should you." Then she left. Packed a bag. Moved out. I haven't heard from her since. I tried calling David. Wanted to tell him I went to the island. Wanted to ask him what to do next. His phone went straight to voicemail. I called the hospital. They said he died 2 days ago. The cancer got him. Except it wasn't cancer. The obituary said he died in his sleep. Peacefully. But I know better. I know that thing came for him. Punished him for breaking his silence. For helping me. I'm uploading everything tonight. Every document. Every name. Every piece of evidence I have. I'm putting it on every site I can find. Reddit. Twitter. YouTube. Everywhere. The Holloway Foundation will try to take it down. They'll send cease and desist letters. They'll threaten lawsuits. They'll probably come after me. But I don't care anymore. 779 kids are dead. My daughter is bound to a monster. And someone needs to know the truth. If something happens to me, if I disappear or have an accident or suddenly die, you'll know why. You'll know it's because I tried to expose this. And maybe that'll be enough to get someone else to investigate. Someone with more resources. More power. More ability to actually stop this. Because the next cycle is in 2027. 3 years from now. 73 more students will be selected for the Excellence Initiative. 41 of them will die. 32 will be bound to that thing forever. Unless we stop it. Unless we destroy the foundation. Unless we seal those caves and kill that entity. I don't know how to do that. But I'm going to try. It's been 2 weeks since I started uploading the documents. 2 weeks of hell. The Holloway Foundation sent lawyers. Cease and desist letters. Threats of defamation lawsuits. They got most of my posts taken down. Copyright claims. Privacy violations. Terms of service violations. Every excuse they could find. But some of it stuck. Reddit threads. YouTube videos. Twitter posts. Thousands of people saw it before it got deleted. And some of them started their own investigations. I've been getting messages. DMs from people who attended Holloway Foundation schools. People who knew students on the lists I posted. People who remember the accidents. The disappearances. One woman messaged me saying her brother attended the 1995 Excellence Initiative. He came back different. Quiet. Successful but empty. He died in 1999 from a drug overdose. She never believed it was accidental. She thinks he was trying to escape whatever was in his head. Another person sent me photos from their 2007 yearbook. 41 classmates marked with memorial ribbons. All died within 2 years of graduation. Nobody ever questioned why so many kids from one school died so young. The pattern is there. It's been there the whole time. We just didn't see it because we weren't looking. But here's what's terrifying. The foundation isn't stopping. They're not scared of exposure. They're not shutting down. Timber Ridge is still operating. Still accepting students. Still running the Excellence Initiative. Applications for the 2027 cycle opened last week. 73 spots available. Students are applying. Parents are encouraging them. It's seen as prestigious. A path to success. Because it is a path to success. If you survive. If you take the oath. If you stay silent. The foundation delivers on its promises. Every survivor I've tracked is successful. Rich. Powerful. Living perfect lives built on the blood of their classmates. That's why nobody stops it. That's why nobody investigates seriously. Because the people who could stop it, the people with power and influence, they're all connected to the foundation. They're survivors. They're bound to the entity. They benefit from the arrangement. I drove past Timber Ridge 2 days ago. Wanted to see it. Needed to see it. The school looks perfect. Beautiful campus. Happy students. Parents dropping off their kids in expensive cars. Everything normal. Except on the wall near the entrance, there's a memorial plaque. Lists hundreds of names. Students who died tragically over the school's history. Parents probably see it and think, how sad, how tragic. They don't realize it's a kill count. A record of sacrifice. I tried to go inside. Talk to administrators. Warn them about 2027. They called security. Had me escorted off campus. Threatened me with trespassing charges. Said if I came back, they'd have me arrested. My daughter still won't talk to me. I've tried calling. Texting. She blocked my number. I drove to where she's staying, an apartment the foundation set up for her. She wouldn't open the door. Just yelled through it that I'm insane. That I'm destroying my life over conspiracy theories. That she's fine and successful and I should leave her alone. She sounded happy. Genuinely happy. And that's what kills me. Because I know that happiness is built on trauma. Built on watching 41 of her peers get dragged into caves and transformed into food for a monster. The entity was right. The oath is binding. It's not just words. It's something deeper. Something that changes the survivors. Makes them complicit. Makes them willing participants in their own Stockholm Syndrome. And the worst part? I can't prove any of it. I have documents. Lists of names. Patterns of deaths. But I don't have video. I don't have physical evidence of the entity. I don't have sworn testimonies from survivors willing to break their oaths. David is dead. The other survivors won't talk. The Foundation's lawyers are burying my evidence. And I'm just one person screaming into the void about monsters and caves and ritual sacrifices and ancient pacts. Who's going to believe me? Who's going to risk investigating a powerful educational foundation based on the ravings of a grieving mother who lost her daughter to success? Nobody. That's who. But I'm not stopping. I can't stop. Because in 3 years, 73 more kids will be selected. And 41 of them will die. And nobody will care because it'll be explained away as tragic accidents. Unless I find a way to stop it. Unless I find someone who believes me. Unless I can destroy that thing in the caves before the next cycle. Yesterday, I got a letter. Fancy envelope. Embossed logo. Hand-delivered to my door by someone in a suit. I wasn't home. It was waiting when I got back. Inside was an invitation. From the Holloway Foundation. Addressed to me personally. Dear Ms. Chen, we are aware of your recent interest in our organization. We understand you have concerns about our programs and their outcomes. We would like to invite you to tour our facilities and speak with our leadership directly. We believe a frank conversation will address your worries and help you understand the valuable work we do. We have arranged for you to visit Casco Island on March 15, 2027. Transportation will be provided. We look forward to clarifying any misunderstandings. March 15, 2027. That's the next cycle. The next feeding. They're inviting me to watch. To witness what happens to the 41 students who'll be selected. This is a threat. They're telling me they know what I'm doing. They know I went to the island. They know I talked to David. They know I'm trying to expose them. And they're showing me they're not scared. They're in control. They've been doing this for 90 years. They're not going to stop because one person found out. I'm not going to that island. Obviously. But the invitation proves something. The Foundation is watching me. They know where I live. They know my schedule. They know everything. I've started hearing things at night. Scratching in my walls. Footsteps on my porch when nobody's there. My security cameras keep glitching out. Showing static. Or showing nothing when I know someone's there. Last night, I woke up at 3 a.m. My bedroom door was open. I always lock it. Always. But it was wide open. And standing in the doorway was a shape. Tall. Too thin. Wrong proportions. I turned on my light. Nothing there. But I could still feel it. Watching me. The entity from the caves. Coming for me like it promised. I'm out of options. I can't stop the Foundation legally. I can't prove what's happening. I can't save my daughter. And I'm being hunted by something that shouldn't exist. So I'm doing the only thing I can do. I'm posting this video. I'm uploading every document I have to multiple platforms. Encrypted. Distributed. Impossible to fully delete. And I'm telling you, everyone watching, pay attention. If you know someone who attends a Holloway Foundation school, warn them. If you see applications for the Excellence Initiative, spread the word. If students start dying in accidents, question it. Don't let them hide in plain sight anymore. Don't let them sacrifice kids to that thing in the caves. Don't let them continue the arrangement. I don't know how much time I have left. The Foundation will come for me. The entity will come for me. But at least I tried. At least I told the truth. To my daughter, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry you're bound to that thing. But I hope someday you find a way to break free. I hope someday you forgive me for trying to expose it. And to everyone else, remember this. The Holloway Foundation is real. The entity in Casco Island is real. 779 students have died. And in 2027, 41 more will be sacrificed unless someone stops it. Don't let them be forgotten. Don't let their deaths be meaningless. Fight back. Investigate. Expose. Do what I couldn't do. Because if you don't, this will continue forever. More schools. More students. More sacrifices. More blood feeding that ancient thing in the dark. I have to go now. Someone's at my door. I didn't hear a car. Didn't hear footsteps. But there's knocking. Slow. Rhythmic. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Pause. The same pattern the entity used in the caves. The same rhythm of the feeding cycle. 3 knocks for 73 students. 3 knocks for the 3 parts of the sacrifice. Arrival. Selection. Transformation. They're here for me. The Foundation or the entity or both. It doesn't matter anymore. If I disappear, if this is the last anyone hears from me, you'll know the truth. You'll know the Holloway Foundation killed me. Just like they killed David. Just like they killed 779 students. The knocking is getting louder. My door is shaking. Something's trying to get in. Something's